Today we're going to look at configuring OPC tunneling in 3 easy steps using the Cogent DataHub. In step 1, we'll connect the DataHub to a data source, in this case an OPC server running on a 64-bit Windows 2008 server. In step 2, we'll tunnel the data across a network to another Cogent DataHub running on a Windows 7 computer. And finally, in step 3, we'll access the data locally on the Windows 7 computer using an OPC client program. So, we'll start on our Windows 8 server, and I'll go ahead and run the Cogent DataHub. You see, when I do that, the DataHub places an icon in the system tray. If I double click on the icon, I can bring up our properties window. Now, what I want to do is click on the OPC icon, and now I want to configure an OPC client connection. So I click Add, then I choose the OPC server. In this case, it's the top server, or Toolbox OPC Power Server. And data coming from the top server, I want to be stored in the DataHub in a data domain that I'm going to call top server. And that's all we have to do. Click OK, and then click Apply, and you'll see that our connection's running. If we take a look at the data, you can see here's our top server data domain, and underneath there, here's some simulation data that we're reading from the top server. So now that we have our data in the DataHub on our server, let's switch over to our Windows 7 computer and configure our tunneling connection. So here we are over in Windows 7, and so I'm going to run a local copy of the Cogent DataHub on this computer. And then when I bring up the configuration, we're going to click on the tunnel mirror icon, and we want the DataHub on this computer to act as a slave to the DataHub running on the Windows 2008 server computer. So I click Add Master, and now I can input the IP address of our Windows 2008 server. And data coming across this tunneling connection, I want to be stored locally in Windows 7 in a data domain that I'll call top client. And if you remember, over on the remote Windows 2008 server, we saved our data in a data domain called top server. So this configures the tunnel connection to connect to the DataHub running on our 2008 computer, and to connect to the top server data domain on the server side, and to read data into a top client data domain on our client side. Click OK and press Apply, and our tunneling connection's running. If I click to view the data, here's our top client data domain, and underneath there, here is the data we're reading across the network from our server computer. Now that the data is within the DataHub on our client system, you'll notice that if we look at the OPC settings, by default the DataHub runs and acts as an OPC server. What this means is we can use any OPC client program to access the data within the DataHub. We can actually also use DDE or TCP as a mechanism to get the data out of the DataHub. But let's go ahead. I'm going to use the OPC Quick Client. This is a program that installs with the top server, and this is our OPC client program, so I'll connect it to the local copy of the Cogent DataHub OPC server. And if I create a group within Quick Client, I'll call this Demo. I can now search the OPC or the Cogent DataHub OPC server for our simulation data. I'll just pick off some of this signed data here. And here you'll see updating. This is the data coming into the quick client, the OPC client program, from the local copy of the Cogent DataHub, which is reading the data across a network, tunneling the data from our server, the DataHub running on our server computer. So that's a quick demonstration on how to configure OPC tunneling using the Cogent DataHub. And you'll notice we haven't had to change any DCOM settings, we haven't had to mess with any of our Windows security settings either.